So, good morning, everyone. So, we are back in Godly with Godly Sight, and but tonight I'm not with my sister because my sister's kind of busy for tonight, and I have a special guest. And our guest for today is none other than Pastor Ken. He's a good friend of mine, and I have especially invited him because I know he has a lot of good ideas and things that I find really interesting. Lately, I saw some of his posts that really caught my attention, and I think that he can share with us some um, 3M thoughts. But for today, we are going to go more biblical. Last episode, we were talking more on the psychological point of view of people, or and how we see the perception of people in this world, in this day of age now during COVID period. So good morning, Pastor Ken. May I call you
Good
Ken?
morning. Good morning po, Pastor Steve. Morning na jud ay 2 a.m. na.
So how have you been? Where have you been
Ah,
assigned?
ah, Currently po I'm in Mampiraw Grace Gospel Church of Christ, Bicol. I've been assigned here for last 2 years ago. Tama ba? 2 years ago from Davao, napunta, I went to Manila to actually process some papers for working abroad. But, God's really making a way uh, to actually call me back here to where I actually came from, Bicol. I stayed here before I went to Davao and got married. I stayed here for like 3, 4 years to finish my bachelor's degree in secondary education. So it was really a big blessing of God that I came back here in Mampirao. Yeah, I mean in Bicol rather. Mampirao is actually the barangay,
Mm-mm.
and the church is actually church's name is after the name of the barangay. That's why Mampirao Grace Gospel Church. So yeah, as of now, doing fine naman.
Okay, so I think last time I saw you was in my brother's house, and
Yeah.
I really had no time to talk with you because you were always busy. But now I really got you in a good time. in the
Actually, I just finished taking a bath because I was about to sleep already. Although I'm
yeah.
not yet sleepy, but yeah, it was a good timing. I just took a
Yeah.
bath and I feel fresh.
Yeah. So let's go to the directly to the point. So my before you can share your I will let you share your 3 a.m. thought after mine. But my 3 a.m. thought for tonight, Pastor, is I was thinking, I was reading some me I was rather seeing some posts and some things out of ministries that we posted about children ministry. And then children ministry mostly is about um children stories like the Jonah and the big fish, what else,
Yeah. Mhm.
Cain and Abel. But what really caught my mind today is I saw a post, and it was using a materials for David and Goliath. Now, when I saw David Goliath, I remember when I was young, David was always portrayed sorry, was always portrayed a very small kid
Mhm.
and then very weak. And I was thinking, does the Bible really says that he was that small and that weak? And and is it true that how we portray him is really what the Bible really um tells us about him? What do you think?
Um, Actually, as a kid, you with the approach of Sunday school teachers in
Mm-mm.
telling that story, you would really think that David was a little guy,
Yeah,
very
true.
small in
Right?
stature, and even until now, I had this idea at the back of my mind that David is really a small guy. I mean, it's been planted in my mind, but actually, although I haven't really studied this
Mm,
idea
mm,
just yet, but I might be wanting to somehow give some time to actually dig
mm.
deeper in this aspect. But actually, in my mind, I think he's not. I mean, he's not really a small guy, like
Really, right?
literally a small
Why
guy,
do you think that, Pastor? If I may ask.
because first, I mean, I mean, those people, I mean, I think genetically
Mm,
they're really big guys. I
true,
mean, genetically, and another thing is with the story before he encountered Goliath. I mean, yes, it's true that God was with him, but I think there's also this. I mean, we cannot deny or we cannot nullify the idea that he's a big guy who was able to actually kill a lion.
true, true. And exactly,
So,
and that's exactly what my point, Pastor. I really like that you and I think alike in this way. Because me, I really like to think the David and Goliath story has become even a quote that
mhm,
even unbelievers, let's not use the word unbelievers, let's say that
mhm,
even atheists that does not believe in God, they even use that quote, the David and Goliath
mhm,
story, meaning a small guy versus a big guy. But like going to your point, genetically I agree, they are not like us.
yes, yes, totally.
I just saw a video of 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 LeBron James kid. He's
Mhm,
13 or 14 years old, but he's really taller than
tall.
me. He's
Mhm,
six something. So I really like, and also the point that you like is what I was going to is we cannot deny. I agree. We cannot deny that he killed the lion, right?
yes.
And the Bible says now, before we are just using our thoughts. So if the Bible's, I'm looking at the Bible now. If you have a Bible, it says that he killed the lion, and he first he pulled from the beard of the lion. So how strong is this guy if he was a kid,
Yes,
right?
yes,
What do you
and
think?
I think as far as I can remember, if my recalling skill is that
Mm-mm.
good still, I think he was also an armor bearer,
Mm-mm.
right? And being, I mean, that kind of work, I think requires physical capability. And another thing is, the Bible portrayed David like a cute kind of guy, not that manly
Yeah.
kind of guy. But yeah, the first thing I actually considered was the genetics.
Mm-mm. True.
Scientifically speaking, I think I mean, we cannot nullify really that. You know, j- I cannot I cannot just say that. I mean, I cannot compare that how the Bible actually is telling
Mm-mm.
him or is describing him as a little guy is actually not the same kind of little guy if we compare it in our
Yeah.
case
Mm-mm.
here as Filipinos. So that's actually one thing.
No, I I just I will add to your point because I really like your point. I
Mhm.
will show you if you can see my screen.
Yeah,
The
yes, I can.
verse so the viewers can see. So
Mhm.
what Pastor Ken said is really true. Uh h-
Mhm.
the fact that you can kill a lion,
Yeah.
and one thing also, Pastor, he was not like Samson, right? Samson
No, no,
was
no. He wasn't.
given power, right?
Yes.
He was given power, and then David was really just just David.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah. David, the
amazing,
cute
right?
guy, the
Yeah,
handsome boy.
yeah, the handsome guy, and then very good. And even I think also the fact that he used the harp makes him people think
Mm,
that he was a very
mhm, mhm.
gentle and very quiet
Yeah.
boy because his
Mhm.
harp is very something so smooth, right?
Yeah.
Uh, if he would play drums, so I may think, oh, guy is really tough because he likes drama. It's hard. But this I see the verse. This is the one that I want to show you, Pastor Ken. He said,
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed it by the
So it's me,
main. That is, I think,
me.
is the because is the beer of the lion, or and
I think
then
it's the lower part.
yeah, and he killed it. Imagine, he did not even he did not really. If I was going to fight a lion, I think I will just kick it, or I will hit it first and then I will run. But in here, it's funny that he really grab it. He grabbed it first and then he struck it. So he was really strong. And not only the
Mm-hmm.
lion, but also the bear, right? And
Yeah.
about the armor, yeah, good point. Armors before, I had that the research before. It's like you said, it's not an easy job. It's not something that is. This is not a what they call this. What they use now, a fiberglass thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
really iron and steel, so it was. I guess it was heavy. So that's one thing that I I saw that the Bible stories nowadays had really kind of given a preconceived what the idea of what the
Mm-hmm.
about the people of the Bible was. And
Mm-hmm.
do you think, Pastor? Now there's come my question. So we can conclude that biblically David was not a weak guy and was really not so. He
Mm-hmm.
was strong, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, genetically. So he was not the average 5 feet guy. I think
No,
I
no,
would think
totally.
at least five
Totally not.
ten or 5'9". And next, I would think he was strong enough to beat a big guy because
Mm-hmm.
he could beat a lion. So here comes my question, Pastor. Do you think that Bible stories for kids and children are in a way swaying us from what really the Bible tells us?
Mm-hmm.
That is my question.
That's actually a nice question to answer because
Mm-mm.
uh, we might be going to the point of where perhaps a lot of us, especially Bible story teachers, might feel that we're going against the
Oh,
norm
no,
of
no.
how we tell the
Yeah,
story, right?
you're just
But yeah, but one thing for me, I think um, somehow we are actually swaying because the Bible did not even actually describe. I
true.
don't think that the Bible, the story in Samuel, I don't think if we're going to read it, I don't think he was actually
Mm-mm.
literally word for word described as a little man. I think it wasn't mentioned there.
Never mentioned,
Although
actually. True.
never actually, it actually was never mentioned,
Mm-mm.
and it is not actually revealed like directly revealed by the Bible that he was a small guy. So somehow, in Bible storytelling, maybe because I'm talking in my with my own experience, because
Mm-mm.
that's really how it was. That's really my impression when the story was told to us.
And me too, Pastor, actually. When I
Yeah,
was young,
it
that's
it
what I was told. Was a small guy and
yes,
a small
because
kid, actually.
yes, that's right. That's actually rooted in amongst us. Yeah, especially to those young children. But I think this will also serve as a suggestion. I think that maybe we have to actually be very careful to go to the point of dramatizing it just to make an impression among the kids that
Mm-mm.
he's really a small guy, compared to the big one. Although that actually gives a clear distinction between David and Goliath. I mean, for sure, Goliath
Yeah.
was really bigger than David. That's
It
for
was
sure.
how much? It
But
was 9 foot, right? Nine
I
feet tall?
think
Nine, sorry,
9
1 foot.
feet.
Nine
I'm sorry,
feet,
my
right?
memory is not that good.
I'm not,
But
yeah,
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
too.
I think at 9 plus feet. I think. But yeah, I mean, we cannot really deny that Goliath really is bigger than David.
Mm-mm.
But I think we just have to be very careful, making more of a drama or exaggerating it to the point of like actually deviating to act to
True.
what actually the Bible is trying to say. Because one thing is the Bible did not actually directly and clearly state that he's
Mm-mm.
a small guy. He was just described as the gentle one, the soft kind of boy, a sheep, I mean a shepherd. All of
Mm-mm.
the attributes that were given to David were like the gentle type of guy.
Mm.
But actually, there's not a direct statement telling that he's a small one or he's a small guy. So
Because
maybe
mm,
we just have to put a little bit of a precaution when we tell story to
be-
kids.
yeah, because going on to your point, right? It's let's say we want to dramatize and get the attention of the kids, but when do we put a limit to it? What is
Mm,
the limit?
mm,
How much is too much and how much is not too much, right? I know kids really need to you need to build them up. But if you go, let's say he was a small guy. So okay, so we can say, oh, that's enough. But
mm.
in the eyes of God, I think that I like the verses that I think two or three times in the Bible says that you should not add or take away from the word of
Yeah.
God.
Mhm.
And then for me, and then we are rooted, Pastor. I know you and I coming from the same Bible school organization, we are
Mhm.
always taught about rightly dividing the word of truth. And in other
Yes, yes, that's right.
translation is the correctly interpreting the Bible. So I'm scared if we start doing that is
Mhm.
doing going loose on things,
Mhm.
it becomes too loose that we cannot come back anymore. Just
Yeah.
like you said, and I could relate to it, that it has been implanted in my mind for so long until the time I really took time, Pastor, and because I was going to preach about this, and I really look about it, and I thought, is David really a small guy or not? And now we look at the Bible, like you said, never been said. So
Never been said.
do you think now the second question, so your I let me see if I got your answer. So your answer is uh it in a way sways and we should
Mhm.
really try to accurately interpret, right, Pastor?
Mhm.
So now my second question, and maybe I may make my final because we make want to make sure next time we can talk more about if our viewers really want to know more about our thoughts. But my second question is, how about the gore parts of the Bible? Should we add to Bible stories for kids? Like like uh like the stories about Samson and Delilah, right? There's a lot of
Mhm.
things there that we don't tell the kids. And
Mhm.
also the story of Noah. There's a lot of theories about when he got drunk and then
Mhm.
I think it was Ham, right? That saw him, and some would say he laughed. Some would say that he did a sexual thing. Some would say that he told his brother. But there are a lot of views about it. But we don't tell kids. We just tell that he made a winery and he got drunk. So that is all.
Mhm.
So do you think? So my question, just make it simple. Do you think that we should even go to the details of the gore things of the Bible? Because in right now in our age, everybody is pushing for sexual education in school
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
kids and then how about the Bible? Should we do that? Because I that's good of social media because we can see
Mhm.
the thoughts even of our Christian friends, and many of my Christian friends they agree on it. They say, oh, we should have a sexual education school. So okay, so you're going that way now. How about the
Mhm.
Bible? Should we go that way? So what's do you get my point, Pastor?
Yes po, Pastor. Kasi,
Ah,
I mean, sorry. I'm starting to talk in Filipino. Um, Actually, this is one of the things that's really that we really have to actually be mindful of, especially as Christians, especially when we
mm,
teach our younger kids. I know that in other countries, especially in Western countries, there's so much freedom to the point of like,
mm,
I mean, sex can be taught
very
to
young
anyone,
age.
like
Yeah.
even at a young age. I mean, In the Bible, there are also a lot of details in there, like what you said in the story of Noah. Um, but for me, I think there should be a consideration on how the details are to be taught, especially
Mm-mm.
when we consider who our
Mm.
audiences are. If we're going to consider kids, since we started with kids
Oh.
earlier, Bible story, um, I think we have to somehow not really give into the
The
how do you call
details.
this one, to get into much details, um, because perhaps this won't be not that uh, how would you call that one?
In Cebu, in Filipino, and then I will try to translate it.
Um,
Come on, your thoughts.
what my thoughts are? I think we just have to actually be very mindful on how kids would perceive it at their
Mm-mm.
young age. Because me as a parent, me
Mm-mm.
as a parent, I'm really at the age. I mean, at with my daughter now. She's now 3 years old, and actually, we are already starting to somehow teach her awareness on her sexuality, but of
Mm-mm.
course, by means of teaching her, especially with regards to hugging and kissing. We kept on reminding her that kiss is just for mom, hugs are
Mm-mm.
just for dad. I mean, we actually teach them. I actually teach my eldest now that uh, she has to learn this pattern that when I kiss, it's only from my mom and from my dad. I mean, we can
Mm-mm.
actually teach sexuality by me, but not to the point of like explicitly
Mm.
using illustrations and words that are not appropriate for them.
Mm-mm.
um because sooner or later, especially in high school, I think in high school, people, I mean, these young people will actually start to become more aware. And I
Mm-mm.
think, I mean, we have to actually be very careful with, or be very considerate with the steps we take in teaching kids, like this kind of stuff, like this sexual part, especially when we teach stories in the Bible. So I don't really think that 4-year-olds would even appreciate, like, we tell
Mm.
stories about Noah getting drunk and then having sexual affair with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
get your point. So in their capability to understand,
yes,
it would
yes,
not
yes,
even be useful for them to know, even
yes,
if
yes.
they would hear it. Yeah, true. So in your point, in it's you're trying to say that we should keep to the important
Mhm,
parts rather than
mhm,
detail, and then let it, like you said, like in the sexual of your child, let him go in her own pace until high school, and then he can learn slowly.
mhm,
So in the Bible, I do agree. I think that it should go that in a slow pace for kids.
mhm.
Like I
And
said, okay,
yes,
you
go
can.
on to start. Sorry.
Okay, so if me, I do not know, when you speak, you can say if you agree with me or not. But
Sure, sure, sure.
but um, in the case of Noah, in the case
Mhm,
of the masturbation issue, that
mhm, mhm.
who was that? I forgot. Judah. Was that Judah? Oh, my Bible
Yes,
history
yes.
is going off my head. So about the masturbation issue, that young people, when they know about it, they really get excited about it because they did not know the Bible had it. But those things, I think that for me, it should go its own pace. And like you
Mhm.
said, the Bible says that we feed the milk for those that need milk, and
Yeah.
then we give the meat for those that can take meat.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think I think like your child, I agree with your point. It's not even it's not even would not even they would not even come to understand what we are talking about if we will open
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It was not be needed, and it's
yeah.
something that we could refrain from it. So
Mm-hmm.
going back to David, rather than changing it, just
Mm-hmm.
put it aside and keep the
Mm-hmm.
strong points. So that is my view. I do not know if you agree, and you can go on, Pastor, with your
Yeah, yeah, I do agree, Pastor. I totally agree with what you said. I actually just remembered one point in my life during a fellowship,
when was that?
and
Drop names.
fellowship in, no, no, I think that was in Cavite. I think that
Okay.
was Luzon Grace Youth Conference. I was already here in Bicol that time. I was already working as an associate pastor here, and I was at the same time studying, finishing my bachelor's degree in education. Yeah, I still can remember it because it was really actually somehow a heated discussion during Q&A.
Okay.
And of course, Q&A, and there, I mean, it was already a general session. And actually, the topic was all about relationships, stuff like that, if I can still remember it correctly. And actually, I come to the point of asking uh, the pastors, senior pastors, or the lecturers rather, who were in the at the stage. I actually asked them about a question about sexuality.
No,
I just
wait.
can't
So you were the one that were lecturing, or you
No,
were
no, no. I did not.
participating?
I did not lecture. I did not do the lecture. I was one of the lecturers, but that day I think
Okay.
I wasn't one of the lectures that day because
But
we
you
were
were
just
listening
given
to somebody
concentrate.
lecturing.
Yes, yes,
Ah,
yes.
okay,
I was
okay, okay.
listening to somebody lecturing, and that was already the general session Q&A. So all of the levels, young people were already gathered in
Okay.
the plenary hall. And I actually asked a question that's a little bit
Explicit.
mm,
No?
not really that
Taboo?
explicit, but a little bit of a taboo for most of the senior workers to
Mm,
ask in a plenary session. But it was actually just about it's actually about sexual urge and desire, if I'm not
okay.
mistaken. Because I actually read a book about it. I think it was I forgot the name. If I'm not mistaken, Boy Meets Girl or I Guess Dating Goodbye book. I just I can't remember exactly.
Mm-mm.
But then, I mean, it was just a funny thing because after I asked the question, the pastor who
But what was the
actually
question?
I actually can't remember, Pastor, but it was actually about sexual urge,
Okay.
sexuality, stuff like that. But then what I actually want to point out is when I asked that question, the pastor actually uh, did not answer.
Was he angry?
Um, a little, not really angry, but because the pastor is close to me. I mean, we're close ones, we're close friends. but of course, he's older than me. Of course, he's my senior. And he actually just suggested that maybe we can talk about it when there's just the two of us, stuff like that. But most of the young people were the high schoolers and college
Mm,
students. So actually, what I actually try to do is to somehow I mean what I want to point out is a lot of us actually, although we have to be very very cautious about teaching sexuality among the kids,
mm.
but I think we also have to understand that a lot of the young people today are already trying to discover themselves and trying to
Exactly.
actually learn about sexuality and stuff.
Mm.
But one thing that actually bothers me is that we don't actually provide in the churches an avenue for them to discover or to learn stuff like that.
So
And
they
so
go
they're trying,
to other
yes,
places to get the information they cannot get in
that's
church.
that's
True.
right. That's right. And that's one thing that I actually wanted
Uh,
to somehow point out. I mean, can I mean although it's true, because I mean, we just really cannot easily get out of the culture we already have as Filipinos. You know, we're so much. I mean, generally speaking, we're conservative
Mm-mm.
with stuff like that. But I think we have to realize that there should be a point in a life of a young person, a youth, a young people, that we start to actually teach them facts, and how the facts based from the Bible or teachings from the Bible about sexuality. I think personally, I do believe that among young people in the young
Mm-mm.
youth department, they have to actually start understanding what the purpose of sex is,
Mm-mm.
what how valuable it is in the sight of the Lord. Because if we don't, I think that will be one of the reasons. If we don't give them an avenue to actually learn it, or to somehow become aware of it, I think that would be one of the causes where they try to find means to solve their curiosity outside of the church.
True. True. True.
So I think um, if we are very cautious during younger ages, like in children's department, I think we also have to also be what's the term? To also
More
be
open
more open, perhaps, or
to the
yeah,
higher
we have to.
departments, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's right. Especially during the times of adolescent
Mm-mm.
stages,
Where they're
during the
trying
times
to
when the
discover their
yes,
sexuality. Yes.
that's one thing. So
And
yeah,
it would be naive to believe nowadays, Pastor, that the
mhm,
children do not know about the deep things that we
exactly,
in our age before.
exactly.
When I was 15, 16 years old, I was really naive about things about that because
Mhm,
we have no means to see it. Like pornography
yeah.
was something very hard to find.
Mhm,
You have to buy
mhm,
books, or you have
mhm.
to find those
Magazines,
matches
perhaps.
magazine, or those matches, the posporo, and then they had the woman with a bare breast. So that was the only thing I could see
Okay.
before. Yeah, and my
uh,
friend would go to school, and then he would put it in his pocket, and we show everybody, and everybody will come around, and that was
yes,
wow.
yes, yes.
But nowadays it's really I just I work
Mhm,
in social media. My work is about social media. And I really
mhm,
see kids exposed to it and that we have to report it. But there's so many, Pastor, that we cannot, it's so hard to report all of them because so many so
mhm,
exposed about sexuality. Even our songs that
mhm,
kids listen nowadays, it's all about sex.
mhm, mhm,
Banging
mhm,
girls, right?
mhm.
That is the word they use now. Banging, banging. And the kids are singing those things and they don't understand, do they not understand? Right? I think they really understand what the word bang means. So I like your point that because the church is becoming so, and if you viewers that will listening to this video do not agree with our point, we are very open to
Yes, yes,
disagreement.
yes,
You can share
yes,
your
yes.
comments and we can talk about it again. But for now, I would agree the point that the church is going so like that, so
Mhm,
closed, that the children, like your point, would rather find the information outside.
mhm,
So it becomes that is why many children um, has fallen to temptation because they were not, like you said, well built or well equipped to face
mhm.
those things in the world. Because we are like how many, we are 99% out of the church. We're just 1 or 2 hours at church at most every Sunday, and then most of our time we are
Exactly.
out the church. So I really like your point, Pastor. So, but I would really want to know what was your question.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to recall it. Um, wait. All I
I,
can remember is I
I think we
asked,
would need another segment for this, and then you will say your
perhaps.
question.
All I can remember is that I can remember the word urge, sexual urge, but
Sexual
I
drive,
cannot,
something like that.
something like that, something like that.
Was it
Because
about self pleasure? No.
I don't think so, because
Okay.
as far as I can remember, we are in the context of marriage already.
Mm-mm.
So uh, exactly, it's like at the tip of my tongue,
Okay.
but
While you try to remember, I will give you some insights that I also
sure, sure.
thinking. So you try to remember your question. So um, one thing about these fellowships, since I was very young, since my first fellowship, almost all the hundreds of fellowship I think I went to in different areas, different country, the topic of relationship always comes up for young, if it's young
Mhm.
people, and then we always talk about courting, dating. But the funny thing, Pastor Kenny, is the Bible never talks about courting and dating. There are actually no courting and dating in the Bible. And I really, when I went to IGBI, and when I went to Bible
Mhm.
school, and then when I seek really the degree for it in a different Bible school, and then I keep on thinking, why we talking about, because I started to self-study, and then why we talking so much about dating and courting? And there's nothing about it in the Bible in the first place. They would write, literally sell their children to somebody,
That's right.
or give it to somebody, or and they will like marry right away. Some will say, oh, how about Jacob? But Jacob was not, he didn't want it. He didn't want it actually to
Mhm.
go 7 years, right? He was
Yeah.
kind of um what
Uh, it was
trick to
kind.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
tricked to it. So don't you agree? There was no courting and dating in the Bible. Nobody singing haranas there. There was
Yeah.
no cute letters. There's no nothing like that.
Actually, Pastor, I remember they actually reacted a bit excited because actually that's one of the things I opened up during one of the fellowships, and it actually popped up out of my mind. I remember it actually questioning it. Although I settled to the idea that somehow there's like this sense of modesty
Mm.
when we do courting and dating before marriage, you know. But actually, biblically speaking, there's not such a thing. In fact, if you're going to look at the Bible, most of the known stories we have were like straightforward
Yeah.
marriage right away,
Adam and Eve
right?
were really straightforward.
Yes, straightforward
Here's your
marriage.
woman.
Yes, that's right. And what funny thing is, who was that? Was it Isaac who was accompanied by his servant? No, 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 no. The servant who actually looked for the wife. I'm sorry, my Bible history is actually kind of bad right now. The
Yeah,
servant
that is
looked for
my
the wife. Was it
least
Isaac?
good subject, Bible history. Isaac, let me search. I think.
Yeah, we'll try to find it out. Help me out with this, Pastor Steve.
Yeah, while you
But
talk,
yeah,
I will.
the servant actually was
Okay, I found it.
instructed.
So, okay, I will show the screen and
Sure,
tell
sure.
me if it's really the one.
He was instructed.
Is this one?
Yes, I think so. I think so. The servant was actually the one who found his wife,
Ah,
and
okay.
then and or who found the woman, and then brought to Isaac. And it was like most people or most Christians would actually say, "Oh, it was love at first sight," you know.
In your
So
dreams.
yeah, that's the thing. So actually, there's not really a single story in the Bible
See
describing.
how people want to perceive what they think
Yes, yes,
it's like our first topic. People want to believe in something that in reality it's not there in the Bible,
exactly.
right? They want to
So
believe in love and true sight so they can let's say in psychology we call it the confirmation bias. They want to satisfy themselves that, oh, I was right, that I found
exactly,
love in the first sight. It didn't occur too long or like that. So anyways, you
exactly.
can go out, Pastor.
Yeah, but, for me, it was safer to say that it was really within the will of the Lord. You know, I think that's a lot more safer to say. But I don't think it's just love at first sight.
Mm-mm.
But you know, but there was a statement there. Um, I forgot the statement used. But it was
What is
really
the sound of
interpreted.
the statement?
it was really interpreted like love at first sight. That is why a lot of people or a lot of
Oh,
Christian teachers
naintriga ko, Pastor
actually,
ba? I want to see it.
yeah, I
I will look
actually
for the parts
can,
where you talk.
yeah, I remember that statement there said by Isaac was interpreted as love at first sight. And that
Mm.
was actually I actually tended to believe it when it was explained to us. But yeah, for me it's safer to say that it was under the control of the Lord that he really provided a woman uh,
Is it about
to Isaac.
the please give me a little drink of water from the jug? Is it this one?
I really can't remember. Sorry about that.
Oh,
But
it's okay.
yeah, going back
So
to
so you
courtship.
meant to
Mhm.
say that there was something that was spoken. Maybe in the next segment that we talk again, I can
Perhaps.
clarify
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
that it was said in this chapter,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then people nowadays would interpret it as love at
Love at
first sight.
first sight.
But you
Yes, that's right.
personally, I would assume, given that you said like that, you really do not buy to the love at first sight for this chapter.
Eh, yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. Not really.
You know,
It wasn't
Pastor,
totally. Hmm.
the thing about love of first sight, this is kind of off topic, but for me, love of first sight, for me personally, people can disagree with me, but I believe that love at first sight is something more of an impulse of lust. You see somebody beautiful, and that's become wow, love at first sight. I don't believe that somebody, oh, love at first sight. I love how she talks. You just saw it, saw her or him. So there's
For
no
the first
time to
time.
talk. So it's a sight. So for me, that is, it's not something magical for me. If you ask me, it's more like more lustful impulse of
Mhm.
wow, this is a beautiful girl, and
And there's
I
actually
really
this sense of
love her.
selfishness.
Yes, that's what I would try to say. No, it's kind of a term that I really don't when I preach or I tend to okay, I don't want to use it because I believe that love should take yes, it's important to have the physical you like him or her
Mhm.
physically, but I also believe that there should be also the time for you to know the person
Each other.
before you declare that okay, I love her or I love him. But love at first sight, sometimes people say some people will get angry with me. Some people will say in their marriage, oh, nakita na ko siya. I saw her in a restaurant in high school. Was love at first sight. And I say, oh,
Mhm.
love at first sight. So it's like kind like that. So anyways, you were saying, Pastor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right, Pastor. And yeah, with regards to love at first sight, I don't really think maybe it's just a term we use to actually describe that we like the person, like
Mm-mm,
they passed our taste with regards to physical appearance or the
mm-mm.
aura or the kind of chemistry they bring in the group, you know. But I don't think it's really love because if we're going back to the Bible, love actually requires knowledge of the person. It requires trust. It requires those important elements for you to actually call it love. It requires commitment. so,
Yeah. When I
so
was
I think
younger,
it's
Pastor,
really.
yeah, I agree. If I was younger, like my early 20s and even
Mhm.
high school, looks were everything. But when I went a kind of matured and older, I always put yes, looks are important, but I always want the girlfriend that for me is also my friend. That is my ampay ba ako sa
That's right.
Bisaya. If in Bisaya, it's really what I'm looking for. It's it's in and for me to somebody once asked what is love for you, Pastor? I said I cannot. If you want biblical, yes, you can say God is love, but
Mhm.
in a human point of view, it's a very tricky word. It's something a lot of things goes before you can say I truly love you. So that is the thing for me. Yeah.
And Pastor, another thing that I'd like to share, um, although we cannot deny, I mean,
Mm-mm.
me as a guy, I cannot deny that during my younger years, I really get attracted with
That,
beautiful
yeah, I
women.
think every one of us
Uh,
does, right?
yes, and I think there's really this. Although I don't have a statistics for this claim, but I think men are really more enticed with what they see, with what
Mm-mm.
we see.
Mm-mm.
Um, and actually it's much more of the it's much more in the side of selfishness, like what do I
Why would
want,
say that,
what do I
Pastor?
desire,
Why do you think
because
is selfish?
selfish in the sense that just the idea that you like a person because of what you see, because they pass to your standard. I'm not saying all of the times, na selfish naman ang ganun. Because, I mean, God created us to be appreciated,
Mm-mm.
right? And even in marriage relationship, it's very important to actually appreciate each other, appreciate our physical, whatever physical state
Mm-mm.
we have. It's actually a vital part in any relationship, especially in marriage relationship. Appreciation to what we see physically, but as a guy, especially when we put when we include sexuality in
The
our
scope? Yeah,
perspective, in the
yeah.
scope, I think it's really more of a selfish stuff. Like, I just want to feel my desire looking at this
Mm,
woman.
I get. I want that beautiful girl to be mine
Yes,
because
it's
she's
sort of like
beautiful.
that.
Because you don't even know, right? Who
Yeah,
is
they
she?
don't even know the
Yeah.
person. So it's not really. So I totally agree with you that we can really tell that I can really say that there's more of the lust side
Mm-mm.
than the love side. I don't think there's love in there.
Mm. Do you think, Pastor Ken, do you think that, like, we should what no, oh, let me reconstruct my question. What do you think is the most important topics that we should share with the young people nowadays? Let's go from children. Okay, let's go
Mm,
from children. Now let's go for 13 to, let's say, 20 years old. What do you
20.
yeah, what do you think? Because 20 up
Um,
for me, it's time to get married. Yeah.
yeah. For me, um,
You know that we were
uh,
talking about that I was always the relationship.
yeah.
What do you think
That's one thing.
it's
I think, although for me, it
for
has to
you
be at one
personally?
point, yeah, at one point in time. I mean, yeah, relationship and stuff like that, and topics related to it has to be really taught, especially in churches, not just in fellowships,
Mm-mm.
much more in churches. But I think one thing that has to actually be really
That you
considered,
think that is being missed out from the fellowships and the
um,
churches?
financial management.
I think we don't need a pastor to teach it. We think we need a financial what you call advisor for
Ay,
it, consultant
financial advisor.
to teach Sunday
uh,
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the topics that's been missed
Do you
out.
think that sex should be one of the things that we should tap on it?
Oh well, yeah. I think it has to be included as a vital part of
Yeah,
Sunday
because
school.
I got your point, right? Because is even if they will say that Sigmund Freud is already obsolete, and most of the
Mm,
psychologists now they want to erase him from
mm,
the 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 the, the new psychology lessons. But he has a good point. He used to always say that everything we do is because of our drive for sex. You wear good clothes because you want to attract the opposite
opposite
sex.
ones. Mm,
Even if you are, let's say, an LGBTQ plus
mm,
community, you're still going to want to attract the other side that you want. Anyways, so everything is driven by sex. for me, you would be very naive and very ignorant to say in a fellowship church that relationship it's not about sex, but the reality it's going that way, and that's the ultimate goal, to get married and get that one. So I
It,
think if it's very essential and that is the ultimate goal, I think we should also talk about it. What do you think, Pastor?
I totally agree with that, Pastor, because sex is actually the consummation of marriage, right?
Mm-mm,
Legally speaking, without sex, you can be annulled. I think that can be a ground for annulment.
mm-mm,
So when we consider sex, that's actually a vital part in God's plan,
mm-mm,
in His creation. The only problem we have is with regards to the kind of conservatism we have. Like we
like when
totally
you
don't.
say that, what do you mean specifically?
What I mean is like
The
it has
conservative.
become, yeah, it has become rooted amongst us in our culture that talking or using words or talking topics about sex would be it's like a sin inside the church.
Mm.
And I don't think it has to go that way because for me,
Like an
uh,
unspoken rule, right? It
yes,
becomes something
it's
that we were accustomed, even we did not talk about it. We just do not talk about it on church.
yes,
Well, that's what you're trying to
because
say, right?
it has been like a culture amongst Christian churches to not
Mm.
talk sexual topics or sexual matters, when in fact, um, well, at least in my understanding with the studies I had is,
Mm.
in fact, sex is one of God's most beautiful design that has to be preserved, that has to be taught among younger generations what it's for, what's the very purpose of it, what's the very goal of that activity, or
Mm.
very awkward to say activity.
Yeah, I get your
What's
point.
the very
Mm.
what's the very goal of that design? So I think churches, Christian churches, has to be more open, not to the point of like, because
Yeah,
our older members would say, "Oh, you're becoming so much liberated already,
yeah.
you're trying
But
to go with the trend," but
in all
it has
fairness,
been
Pastor,
here.
it does not need to go that drastic. Let's what do we do? We're not going Kama Sutra on it. We just go the
Yeah,
yeah, we are not
yeah,
going
we
that
don't
in.
go that
We
way.
are not going to the we have to go this because, but to tell you the truth, I have some friends that had very much problem. These close friends of me. I will just not say the names here because this is something that will be posted publicly. But very close friends, when they get married, Pastor, they really had a hard time getting what they call conceiving a child or getting the wife pregnant. So the doctor would give the positioning things. So that is things also actually that we owe. That is talking about position that is evil, that is sin. But in reality, many people have testified to it that it worked for them in a different position, help them conceive a child. So I'm not saying that we will teach the children, but if we are going to the church, we can find ways that we can help our members do it. Sorry, not do it, but be informed of it. Like you said in the beginning, not look for information outside, which is very dangerous. And also, abortion is something about it's about something about sex we could talk to youth, right? What about anti-pregnancy pills? Uh, those things are things that I think me. I know some viewers may disagree with, which I'm very welcome for disagreement. You can correct me if you want, and we can talk again. But I think that sex is something very broad, and because, like you said, Pastor, that the church has going the very very close way. even the things that is not very explicit, we are not even talking about. What is our stand on abortion? What is our stand on this, right? So it's all related also to sex. So would you agree, Pastor, that are those are things that also are related to the topic of sex?
Yes, Pastor. Actually, even I myself I've been posting stuff related to abortion.
Mm-mm,
And although in the Philippines, it's actually not that rampant because of the rooted culture we have, Christian culture we have. But I believe there are women doing that already, Filipino.
yeah,
But
undeniably. Yeah, there
yeah,
is,
but
but in secret,
it's
I think. Yeah.
yeah, I believe so. But in Western countries, in more liberated countries, most of the most of the advocates for that are there because it's happening, it's rampantly happening there. And I think that's one thing we have to actually try to make our people aware inside the
Mm-mm,
churches, in a biblical standpoint, of
mm-mm,
course, in a biblical point of view. So yeah.
true. So thank you, Pastor Ken, for your time. And I
Thank
hope,
you, Pastor
and I
Steve.
think that we will still have room to talk more. I think maybe we set
Sure,
a
sure.
time. So just to to end this program, I would like the viewers at home to, if you have any questions, any comments about our let's say podcast. This is not really a podcast; it's just a video call. You can comment below, and you can also, if you are not comfortable in commenting below, you can ask me directly in my Facebook page, and I have Facebook account, and I will put the link below, and also I will share Pastor Kenneth's uh, link below, so you can also ask him question if you want us. And be assured that if you ask him a question, or if you give a question, uh, I can set another time that we can talk about it and he can share. So do not be scared of talking. Um, and also, most of the topics here, if you brothers and sister, and also people that are really not connected to the church, this is a topic that um, it's needed to be spoken. And I wish, and I hope, and I pray that this will open our minds to more knowledge and wisdom that we can take from this. So thank you so much, Pastor Ken.
Thank you,
So
Pastor
this
Steve.
this is not our last, because you have a utang kasakwa, the what question did you ask? And then the next episode, guys, would be the 3 a.m. thought of Pastor Ken, because this segment was my 3 a.m. thought. So next time we will listen to his 3 a.m. thought. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment below for for your ideas and comments of our video, if you like it or not. Okay, thank you. God bless and good night. Good morning.
Good morning.